for joining me today. As you probably have seen, I changed the title of this because I found out in the airplane that this is a workshop. And the first word, work, means that we need to do something together, right? So you need to do stuff, I need to do stuff as well. And the objectives today for me are to do an exercise with you, small one, short one, and then I have some questions and hopefully you have the answers. And let's start with the first part, the exercise. So could you all stand up, please? And then go to that person next to you and introduce yourself. If you've done that, you can sit down. You can sit down if you've done that. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Okay, you can sit down if you've done that. Yeah. Yeah. So what is it actually that you just done? Who can give me an answer on this? What did you just do?
It was an exchange of information.
Context. You shared context, right? And I think in the cloud security and risk pipeline, there's a lot of context missing, right? I think you know this by heart. Then I start with a few questions. So who is familiar with WIS, the company, what it is? Nobody? There's a reason. It's a very young company. Was founded in December 2020 by 4 Israelis. They came all from Microsoft, like I. They were, one of them was the R&D lead for Azure Security. And the 4 figured out, so there is a lot of stuff missing in that cloud. A lot of stuff missing related to context. And they started their company. First product was available in February 2021. And all of a sudden we were here. We became this. And nobody knows us, right? We are the fastest software company in the world currently. Product was available February 2021. In December 2021, we crossed a certain line on revenue. This year, we crossed 100 million, and we have 30% of the Fortune 100 actually as our customers. Do you know what the reason is? Little trip to memory lane. Log4Shell happened in December, right? Who was there during December dealing with this? I was there. And I was at that time at another company. I worked at Splunk for that at that time. Just decided that I would go for WIS. I was on an airplane, finally on a break. Going to Ibiza, landed in Ibiza, looked at my phone and thought, what's happening, right? What is really happening here? A lot of missed phone calls, a lot of messages, mainly from the old customers. And I said, so we just had the perfect storm. The perfect storm, Log4Shell, which had a vulnerability score of 10. So I got questions on that voicemail, and my wife looked at me and says, you are on a break, right? I said, no, I need to solve this. I need to talk to those people. And I was talking to one of the bigger companies in the world. It's now a logo, BMW. And BMW asked me, so can you help? I need a notable search to figure out where I have Log4j or Log4Shell. I said, oh, so that's easy, right? So bring in all the people that are accountable for certain pieces of data, ingest that into an analytics engine, and then let's figure out where you have it. And then the opposite side said, yeah, that's almost impossible, right? So the Log4Shell could be anywhere. So how do we do this, right? So it could be in functions, it could be in platforms, cross clouds. So how do you solve this? And I said to that person, so I think what you need to figure out, are you really at risk? And what does that actually mean, am I at risk, right? So the vulnerability, if you only assess the vulnerability, it shows you where you are vulnerable, right? But it's just a short part of the context that you need. So you also need to understand where it runs, also understand where the exposure is, and then also, what is the likelihood that you're going to expose something? Sounds easy, right? Simple questions, right? But there were no simple answers. These were the worries. These were really, really the worries. And I thought, so how can we as an industry solve this? I worked, as I said, for Microsoft, worked on analytics engines, on SIEM tooling like Sentinel, on agents like Defender. And I thought maybe that's an approach. But an agent doesn't really help, right? An analytics engine is way too slow. The dynamics that we currently have in cloud will also not help you, right? So we have short living services, functions where you can't install agents, for example. So how do you gonna answer those questions? And I think to really understand that, you need to understand what cloud risk is. It is really hard to understand what that is, but reducing cloud risk is even harder, right? So, and what I see is in that complete process, that process is broken, completely broken. Because think about it, agents would not work in Log4Shell, right? Would not. Simple, because there are services that are not allowing you to install agent, or they can't consume an agent. Priority, do you really find out across the context where you really need to pay attention? Exposed databases, for example. Database could be everything, right? So it could be a platform service, but it could also be something that you install on the virtual machine that you run in infrastructure. And then remediation. And that's a question to you. Who is in security? Who deals with security in this room? Who feels that security is accountable for risk?
To some extent.
To be honest, they are not. If I talk to CISOs, and I do that very often, and to a group of CISOs, I ask that same question: are you accountable for risk? And they go, no. We are responsible. We need to inform the accountable part, the application creators, the buyers, the owners, that they are accountable for a risk that we discover and they need to mitigate. And then I ask them, so how do you inform them? And this is where it horribly goes wrong. Informing is more like, hey, we have an issue. You need to solve it. Nothing more, nothing less, right? And the other party doesn't know anything about security, so they start to wander off. And then they go into tooling, right? So then security says, no, you need to have a look at the tool. These are acronyms from tools. Every cloud vendor has his own tool. And before you know it, you have tool fatigue with alert fatigue, with no interaction between that context and those tools. So what is the cloud security evolution then? It is something that is called Cloud Native Application Protection Platform, CNAPP, as Gartner calls it. And the CNAPP promise is that all these tools will act as one, as the protection platform. So all the context that you get here across all clouds will be in one data plane, in one tool, one visibility. But visibility is one, but how do you make that visibility into something that is actionable? And I think that starts with understanding what you really have, right? So we as Wiz, as I said it, we have big customers, really, really big customers, but also smaller customers, tiny customers. And in average, if we scan their cloud environments, we find this, right? 200 critical risks. If we say critical, we mean really, really critical. You need to fix those things. And also what we see is the majority of security teams are only able to do this, right? To solve this. The reason for that is the ratio between developers, cloud builders, and security people is also completely broken. It's 1 to 20, 1 to 50 even sometimes. So how do you solve this? I will skip this. You will have the slides. We can talk about this because this is what we solve. We solve the technology complexity. The reason that we solve it because we think that cloud security is a partnership between infrastructure teams, cloud defenders, but also the cloud builders, right? So if you don't help the cloud builders with understanding what good is, they will introduce a vulnerability into your production environment before you actually can say stop. The other side is in the middle. The infrastructure security teams often say, so you need to do this, which is often saying no, right? That's not really enabling the digital transformation or doing the digital business. And then the defenders, they say, so yeah, I see the overarching thing, but this is what you need to do. without any context, right? In security language, in security slang that nobody understands, like not only security people understand. So we need to solve this. So what I think is CNAPP, Cloud Native Application Protection Platform. Only remember the last two, protection platform, platform. This is what you need to do. Gain full visibility without bothering anybody, meaning don't install anything. That's what we do. We don't install anything. We connect to your cloud. And then we start scanning the cloud. And then we understand the context to give you priority. And also, what we also do is we help you to get the right information to the right people, including the developers. So it starts with visibility. Because everything starts there, right? You need to have a full scan across the complete stack that you use in the cloud to gain full context. Meaning, infrastructure is not good enough, right? You need everything. You need roles, you need secrets, you need software bill of materials, and so on and so on. And then give that context to that user. Don't ask, right? So give. And also be independent. So if you start to ask, so can I install something? It doesn't work, right? It's adding more complexity on something that's already complex enough. So that's the first part. So this is what we do. We scan APIs from infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, containers, Kubernetes, without installing anything. Serverless functions as well. Next thing. Use context, right? Developers, but also cloud builders will lose trust if you constantly say, so you need to fix something, and they start to fix something, and it's a false positive again, right? And then next week you say, so no, you still need to fix it. They will say, so stop this, we don't care anymore. We go our own way. So the responsibility that sits with CISO and the accountability that sits with application development, that's also a broken thing. So you need to fix that trust relationship as well. So you as a detector, because this is more pre-attack, you need to do better in your alerting. So don't tolerate noise. If there is noise, don't send it. Only send those things that really, really matter that you can prove as well. So that's what we also do. And also think about what risk then is in complexity. Yeah? So try to map it in your mind. So as I said, it's a vulnerability with a score of 9.8, which is really high against the cloud resource. Is this really risk? Kind of. But when it has this, right, in that workload context, exposed secret, which is a clear password or token or a key, against the cloud identity, it becomes a little bit more risky. If you add this, the cloud context, so data, databases, with external exposure, oh my God, right? This is the fear. And then the business context as well. So what is the impact on the business if this goes wrong? What I'm actually doing here is telling you so how you could build a risk matrix based on the context that we give you. What is missing here? Any idea? No, I know, because I created the slide, so there's a hidden thing here. Trick question. The missing part is the human. So how can a human still understand this, right? So what is the, how do you do this? How do you make this actionable for somebody, insightful? I think it starts with correlating toxic combinations. So don't go for one, go for all. Those are the things, that's one. And also have meaningful context. Example, this is what we mean with meaningful context. Actually showing you where the thing sits in a graph representation. Also humanize, right? So tell them what it is, right? In normal language. This is a VM. This is not an asset with an SV, SS, and so on and so on. No, this is what it is. Also give them recommendations. That's also what we do here, right? So we say, so this is the risk, correlated risk with a critical. Sits in your project. There's a ticket as well, right? You as a developer get a Jira ticket or ServiceNow ticket to deal with it in your tooling, right? That's one. And also incentivize them, right? So I see customers actually dividing their cloud orgs into projects. And they gamify those projects playing games between development tribes, right? Where they say, so how many criticals do you have? Only 6? I have 4, right? I'm way better than you. Helps to get those people excited also on solving that pipeline issue. Also, democratize access to the scene, right? As I said, those projects are actually role-based access control realms. So you can actually give everybody access to the tool, including developers. They will have a view on what they need, right? Then you have security people that have a view on what they need. And then you have infrastructure builders on a view that they need, because we do left to right, meaning we look at cloud security, but we also look at infrastructure as a code, golden images, but we also do compliancy and report out on assets related to compliancy acts, from left to right. Humanize, I talked about it, right? Make sure that you explain what happened and why they should care. And also give them enough detail so that they understand what they need to fix and what they need to care about. And then also give them a list of actions, possibilities, right? What you see here, and hopefully you can see it, there is two little buttons here, run an action or create a ticket. The run the action is like automate or orchestrate, and I love the word orchestrate instead of automate. I come from a background where I also was creating software around security automation orchestration. Orchestration involves a human. Automation is an action that you're going to do. Tooling like this is beautiful, right? You see the beautiful graph, but it's hard to tell if you change something what the impact is. So you need a human for that decision. You also need the human to actually maybe create another use case around this, right? So this is our use cases, the frameworks that you get from the market. But your industry probably has, or your company has probably specific things that you like to solve. The tool is open enough to create your own use cases, your own frameworks, your own compliancy acts, and so on and so on. But make it as simple as possible, understandable for everybody, right, in that chain. Talking about that chain, I also think, and I think that's also our vision, that everything that you learn in the middle, in security, you need to feed that back to the left, to the developers, but also to the auditors, CFOs, CIOs, and so on, right? Meaning, if you find something in production, you need to shift that policy also to the left so that you can integrate it into the CI/CD pipeline, so that you prevent before you're going to cure again, right? Curing stuff, we can't find the people to do it anymore, right? Worldwide, we are already missing 4.3 million people to deal with all the security issues that we currently have. Automation can help there, but prevention and education is the better way, right? So everything you learn in the middle, apply it to the left. The other thing is integrate it with tools that you already have, right? Replacing tools is also possible. We replace a lot of tools, but replacing and being agentless is an option. Frictionless integration that we do in cloud is frictionless on our side. You still need to modify the process on your side, right? It is a different tool, different process. So make sure, and that's what we also do, that you integrate with all the tools that you already have. So the tool is open that we have. Also the process that is broken should be open for everybody, for every tool, for every process, and so on. Because it is technology to serve a dynamic process with people, right? And not the other way around. You're not going to buy a tool and say, so let's completely modify everything because we bought a tool. The outcome should be a tool, not the beginning. The next thing, enforce security policy for auto-remediation. Question to you, who likes auto-remediation? Yep, other people? I liked it until January 2022, and we were dealing with a big retailer in the US, the biggest that they have there, and they were doing auto-remediation on one of the threats they had. The threat was really a threat, but the process meant that their complete estate went down for 3 hours. Complete estate means no online shopping. No online shopping meant like a loss of 40 million, right, on that specific piece of impact. So again, orchestration before automation, auto-remediation. There's also always 2 eyes or 4 eyes to make that decision in that process, right? There is a gate. Somebody needs to say, let's open the gate to do this. Technology-wise, you can do it also with our tool. Be precise in what you're going to do, right? And also divide your environments to teams, right? And make sure that they collaborate with you instead of saying constantly, don't overwhelm me with all kinds of stuff, right? Make them accountable and not only say that they are accountable. Also ask them how they think about what they get from you. Because that's the only way that you will have the possibility to bring everything into place if they align with you, right? It is not with a tool, it's aligning with you in the process. The tool is supportive here. And I think that's the revolution that we started. It is amazing effective, right, what we do. You see it on the spot. If you don't believe me, we run demos. You can, at our booth, you can look at it. And I think the key thing here is context, right? Context is key. You need to have everything across the cloud to actually say, so this is real priority. Right? This is what we solve. Not only security, it is the complete chain. So it is really about this, right? Frictionless, visibility. Don't start asking people to install something or open the gates or do big data government things that we saw at my old employees, right? Where we had to ask people, so can you open the gate because we need your data to find the needle in your data haystack. And also, yeah, go for correlation. Good correlation. Not using data, but using tools like this. Gartner also has a name for the outputs that we have. It's ODM, outcome-driven metrics. So you don't pay us for the data, you pay us for the outcome. You pay us for the stuff that you really use, the workloads that you really use. And then, of course, make everybody accountable. Or maybe better said, make everybody aware that this exists and that they are a part of that chain, that broken pipeline as well. As I said, you can have a look. And this is what what customers say about this, why they love us. This is just a part of it. As I said, there are big brands, the Salesforce of this world, the BMWs, the Teslas, but also smaller companies. Companies that were born in the cloud use us. Companies that are in hybrid mode, so on-premise with cloud use us. And even some on-premise, where they use Kubernetes on-premise on OpenShift, for example. But this is only a part of cloud, right? And I like the first C, if people say so, cloud native. Cloud is a lot of things, right? Kubernetes is a cloud in a cloud even. So think about it. We do Kubernetes, we do containers, but we don't do software as a service. The reason for this, and this is also good to understand, you need to fulfill an SLA to your clients internally. A SaaS vendor does it the same, right? They need to provide an SLA to you as the consumer of that service. That means limited insight as well. So this is not what the tool solves. This is also not what you should solve. You should say, dear vendor, it's your responsibility. I'm accountable, but you need to figure out what you need from that responsible or accountability party, right? So the Microsofts of this world or the AWS of this world. Yeah, with that said, I saw 5 minutes. Right? Hopefully I'm still on time, right? Yeah, so this is what we do with clients. I would recommend you to have a look at the tool. We have it over there. Actually, the option I would like to give you actually is come over with your use cases to the booth and say, so can you solve this as well? And once in a while, we amaze ourselves. If you see the context, you actually can solve a lot of use cases. Today we had somebody who said, so okay, so you scan everything, you have the inventory. Can you also give me a view on what's not running? And actually we can do this. We can actually show you which machines functions are not running. why is this so interesting? I asked it, so why are you so interested in that specific use case? And the person said, so machines that are not running still have technologies on it where we pay for the technology. The compute is off, but the storage is still on. I'm still paying for the storage, so it's cost saving as well. So, but the bigger worry I have, if the machine spins up again after months, it is a vulnerability itself. So those were two use cases where I thought, okay, that's interesting, right? Really, really interesting.